You store your leftovers thinking they are safe. Sealed tight, refrigerator cold, ready for tomorrow. But what if the container itself is poisoning your food? For seniors, certain plastics leach chemicals linked to hormone disruption, heart strain, and kidney damage. Today, we are exposing 9 food storage container brands you should avoid at all costs, and the 2 that are actually worth your trust. Coming in at number 9, we have Rubbermaid. Rubbermaid has been a household name for decades. You probably grew up seeing those red lids in your mother's kitchen. The brand promises durability, convenience, and food safety. Millions of American seniors trust Rubbermaid to keep their meal prep fresh and their leftovers protected. Walk into any American home, and you will likely find at least one Rubbermaid container tucked away in a cabinet. But here is what Rubbermaid does not advertise on their packaging. Independent laboratory testing has revealed that certain Rubbermaid containers, particularly older product lines and some budget models still sold today, contain BPA and phthalates. These are industrial chemicals added to plastics to make them flexible and shiny. The problem is that these chemicals do not stay locked inside the plastic. They migrate, they leach, especially when you heat food inside these containers or when acidic foods like tomato sauce or citrus sit inside for hours. A 2022 study published in Environmental Health Perspectives found that BPA exposure is linked to increased blood pressure and cardiovascular strain. For seniors already managing hypertension or taking heart medications, this is not a minor inconvenience. This is a compounding risk factor that sits in your refrigerator disguised as a helpful kitchen tool. The study analyzed over 1,200 participants and found measurable increases in systolic blood pressure within hours of BPA exposure. Picture this. You make a big batch of spaghetti sauce on Sunday. The tomatoes are fresh, the garlic is fragrant. You ladle it into your Rubbermaid container, snap on the lid, and store it for the week. Every day, as that acidic tomato base sits against the plastic walls, microscopic amounts of BPA seep into your food. You cannot see it, you cannot smell it, you cannot taste it, but your body absorbs it with every reheated meal. By Friday, you have consumed 5 doses of chemicals you never asked for. Rubbermaid has introduced some BPA-free lines in recent years, but here is the catch. The replacements often contain BPS or BPF, which are chemical cousins that studies suggest may be equally harmful. The label says BPA-free, but the danger has not disappeared. It has simply changed its name. Researchers at the University of Texas found that BPS disrupts hormone signaling at even lower concentrations than BPA. Consumer complaints have piled up over the years. Warping after microwave use, lids that crack and no longer seal properly. Staining that suggests the plastic is absorbing food particles. When plastic absorbs, it also releases. That exchange goes both ways, and your leftovers are caught in the middle. One customer described opening a container that had held curry and finding the orange stain permanently embedded in the plastic walls. For seniors on fixed incomes, Rubbermaid seems like a sensible, affordable choice. But the hidden cost may be paid in doctor visits and medication adjustments down the road. The container that costs $5 today could contribute to health complications that cost thousands. Is it not strange how billion-dollar companies keep selling products with chemicals banned in Europe, yet they are still considered safe here in the United States? We will show you which containers actually protect your health, but that reveal comes at the very end. Stay with us. At number 8, we have Glad. Glad is everywhere. Grocery stores, big box retailers, dollar stores. The branding is cheerful and reassuring. Press and seal, ovenware, freezerware. The names suggest innovation and safety. Glad wants you to believe their containers can handle anything you throw at them, from hot casseroles to frozen soups. But laboratory analysis tells a different story. Testing conducted by consumer advocacy groups found that certain Glad containers release detectable levels of phthalates when exposed to heat. Phthalates are plasticizers, chemicals that make rigid plastic more pliable. They are also endocrine disruptors, meaning they interfere with your hormone systems. For seniors, this matters because hormone balance affects everything from metabolism to mood to blood sugar regulation. Your thyroid, your adrenal glands, your pancreas, they all depend on precise hormonal signals that phthalates can scramble. Imagine you are managing type 2 diabetes. You are careful about what you eat. You portion your meals. You store your diabetic-friendly lunches in Glad containers because they seem convenient and affordable. What you do not realize is that every time you microwave that container, you are adding an invisible variable to your blood sugar equation. Phthalate exposure has been linked to insulin resistance in multiple peer-reviewed studies. Your carefully managed diet becomes less predictable because of a container you never thought to question. The texture of Glad containers often degrades quickly. Customers report that after a few cycles through the dishwasher, the plastic becomes cloudy and scratched. Those scratches are not cosmetic damage. They are microscopic crevices where bacteria can hide and where chemical leaching accelerates. A scratched plastic container is a compromised container, and compromised containers do not belong near your food. Run your finger along the inside of an older Glad container. Feel those ridges? That is degradation you can touch. Glad markets their products as microwave safe. But microwave safe does not mean chemical free. It means the container will not melt or warp under normal microwave conditions. It says nothing about what invisible compounds are transferring into your reheated casserole. The FDA's microwave safe designation has nothing to do with chemical migration. A 2021 consumer survey found that over 60% of Americans over age 50 reuse plastic containers beyond their intended lifespan. We wash them, we store them, we stack them in cabinets for years. Each use adds wear, each wash adds degradation, and each meal stored inside carries a little more risk than the one before. For seniors with kidney concerns, this is especially troubling. The kidneys are responsible for filtering toxins from the blood. When you add unnecessary chemical exposure through everyday items like food containers, you are increasing the burden on organs that may already be working overtime. Your kidneys do not get to retire. Why make them work harder? The solution exists. Safer containers are out there, but we will get to that at the end. First, you need to know just how deep this problem goes. Now at number 7, we have Snapware. Snapware built its reputation on one promise: lids that actually lock. The four-sided locking mechanism is their signature feature. No leaks, no spills, no mess. Seniors love the idea of secure storage, especially for soups, stews, and sauces that could ruin a refrigerator shelf if the seal fails. The satisfying click of a Snapware lid closing feels like a promise of protection, but secure lids do not equal safe materials. Snapware plastic containers have come under scrutiny for containing polycarbonate, a type of plastic historically manufactured with BPA. While the company has transitioned some products to BPA-free formulations, the replacement chemicals remain poorly studied. BPS, for instance, has been detected in polycarbonate alternatives and has shown similar endocrine-disrupting properties in laboratory research. The chemical industry calls them safe. Independent researchers are not so sure. Here is where it gets personal for seniors managing chronic conditions. Endocrine disruptors do not just affect reproductive hormones. They influence thyroid function. They affect cortisol levels. They can interfere with medications designed to regulate these very systems. If you are taking levothyroxine for hypothyroidism or prednisone for inflammation, you are introducing variables that your doctor did not account for when writing your prescription. Your medication dosage was calculated based on a body that was not absorbing plastic chemicals with every meal. The visual appeal of Snapware is part of the problem. The crystal clear plastic looks clean and premium, but that clarity comes from chemical additives that enhance transparency. Those additives are not inert. They interact with food, especially fatty foods like cheese, butter, and meat drippings. Fat is a solvent. It pulls chemicals out of plastic more efficiently than water-based foods. Your leftover brisket is essentially extracting plasticizers from the container walls. Customer reviews reveal another issue. The locking mechanisms, while effective, create stress points in the plastic. Over time, these stress points develop hairline cracks. Cracks that are invisible to the naked eye but create pathways for bacterial contamination and accelerated chemical migration. The very feature that makes Snapware appealing is also its structural weakness. One reviewer described storing homemade chicken broth in a Snapware container. After a week in the refrigerator, the broth had developed an off-putting plastic taste. That taste was not imagination. It was confirmation that the container and the food had become chemically intertwined. The broth had absorbed the container, and the container had contributed to the broth. Do you think companies prioritize your safety or their profit margins? That question is worth sitting with as we continue down this list. Most people never learn how to protect themselves from this, but we will break it down at the very end of the video. Number 6 on our list is Ziploc. Ziploc containers are so ubiquitous that they have become almost invisible. You see them in every American kitchen. They stack neatly. They are inexpensive. The brand carries the trust of the Ziploc name, which has been sealing bags and containers for generations. When you think of food storage, Ziploc is often the first name that comes to mind. But familiarity does not equal safety. Ziploc containers are made from polypropylene, a plastic generally considered safer than polycarbonate. However, independent testing has shown that even polypropylene can release microplastics when subjected to heat or physical stress. A 2023 study from the University of Nebraska found that microwaving polypropylene containers released millions of microplastic particles per square centimeter. Millions per square centimeter. Every time you reheat your soup. For seniors, microplastic exposure is an emerging health concern that deserves serious attention. These tiny plastic fragments can pass through the gut lining and enter the bloodstream. Once in circulation, they have been detected in lung tissue, liver tissue, and even brain tissue. Researchers have found microplastics in human blood samples from every demographic studied. The long-term health effects are still being studied, but early research suggests links to inflammation, oxidative stress, and cellular damage. The Ziploc brand also faces criticism for inconsistent quality control. Consumers have reported receiving containers with visible defects, warped bottoms, lids that do not fit properly, and seams that appear poorly fused. Defective containers are not just inconvenient. They are potential contamination vectors. A quality control failure at the factory becomes a health risk in your kitchen. When a lid does not seal correctly, moisture escapes and bacteria enter. When a bottom is warped, hot spots develop during microwaving, accelerating chemical release in concentrated areas. When seams are poorly fused, microscopic gaps harbor food particles that become breeding grounds for mold and pathogens. For seniors with weakened immune systems, these are not hypothetical risks. A contaminated container can trigger gastrointestinal distress that leads to dehydration, hospitalization, and cascading health complications. What begins as leftover lasagna can end in an emergency room. The CDC reports that foodborne illness costs Americans over $15 billion annually in medical expenses and lost productivity. According to the CDC, adults over 65 account for a disproportionate share of foodborne illness hospitalizations. Nearly 60% of hospitalizations and 80% of deaths from foodborne diseases occur in people over 65. The containers you store your food in are part of that equation, even if no one talks about them. Why do you think the same companies that fund safety studies are the ones selling you the products? Coincidence or something else? Stick around. The answer is coming, but only at the end. If this helps you stay safer in the kitchen, hit subscribe. It is free, and it means you will never miss these exposés. At number 5, we have Sterilite. Sterilite dominates the storage aisle. Their containers are cheap, stackable, and available in every size imaginable. For seniors on fixed incomes, Sterilite seems like the practical choice. Why spend more when you can get a 20-piece set for under $15? The value proposition is hard to ignore when you are watching every penny, but sometimes you get exactly what you pay for. Sterilite containers are made from polypropylene, but the grade of plastic used in budget products is not the same as the grade used in premium alternatives. Lower-grade polypropylene contains more recycled content and more residual chemicals from the manufacturing process. These residual chemicals can off-gas into your food, especially when containers are new. The cheaper the container, the more likely it contains manufacturing residues. Have you ever opened a package of new plastic containers and noticed a sharp chemical smell? That is not nothing. That is volatile organic compounds evaporating from the plastic surface. You are breathing them in, and when you store food in that container, your food absorbs them too. That new plastic smell is a warning signal your nose is trying to send you. Sterilite's economy positioning means corners are cut somewhere. Thinner walls, less rigorous quality testing, faster production cycles that do not allow plastics to fully cure before packaging. The result is a product that may look functional but carries hidden compromises. What appears to be a bargain is actually a trade-off you never agreed to. Customer complaints consistently mention warping. Sterilite containers left in hot cars or washed in high-temperature dishwashers lose their shape. A warped container is a stressed container, and stressed plastic releases chemicals more readily than stable plastic. Heat accelerates everything, including the breakdown of plastic polymers. For seniors storing medications alongside food, there is an additional concern. Plastic containers stored in the same cabinet as pill bottles can create microenvironments where chemical vapors interact. While the risk is low, it is not zero. And for people taking multiple medications, every variable matters. Your blood pressure medication should not be absorbing fumes from a storage container. The promise of affordable organization comes with a hidden cost measured in chemical exposure and potential health consequences. Sterilite wants your dollars, but do they want your trust? Their manufacturing practices suggest otherwise. Do not go yet. The solution comes at the very end, and it could change how you store food forever. Coming in at number 4 is Tupperware. Tupperware, the original, the icon. For decades, Tupperware parties were social events where neighbors gathered to marvel at burping seals and lifetime warranties. Your grandmother probably had Tupperware. Your mother definitely did. And chances are, some of those very containers are still in your cabinet today, passed down through generations like kitchen heirlooms. That is precisely the problem. Vintage Tupperware, manufactured before the early 2010s, almost certainly contains BPA. The company did not transition to BPA-free formulations until consumer pressure and regulatory scrutiny forced the change. If you are using Tupperware containers that are more than 15 years old, you are using containers that were designed in an era when BPA was considered perfectly acceptable. The avocado green container from 1975 is not a charming antique. It is a potential health hazard. But even modern Tupperware raises concerns. The company filed for bankruptcy in 2023, citing declining sales and operational challenges. When companies face financial distress, quality control is often among the first casualties. Suppliers are switched to cheaper alternatives. Manufacturing is outsourced to the lowest bidder. Inspection protocols are relaxed to speed production. The Tupperware you buy today is not the Tupperware your grandmother trusted. Reports have surfaced of newer Tupperware products arriving with chemical odors, misaligned lids, and inconsistent plastic thickness. These are signs of a manufacturing process under strain, signs that should make any health-conscious senior pause before adding Tupperware to their cart. The brand name remains, but the quality behind it has changed. The sentimental value of Tupperware is real. These containers carry memories of family meals and holiday leftovers. But nostalgia does not neutralize BPA. The container that held your mother's potato salad in 1985 has spent 40 years degrading, off-gassing, and becoming progressively less safe. Those memories are precious, but they do not make the plastic safer. For seniors managing blood pressure, BPA exposure is particularly concerning. Research published in the journal Hypertension found that BPA exposure correlates with elevated systolic blood pressure, even at levels below regulatory thresholds. The study showed measurable blood pressure increases within 2 hours of BPA exposure. The margin of safety is smaller than you think, and everyday exposures add up over weeks, months, and years. Ever notice how companies reformulate products without telling you what changed? They remove one harmful chemical and replace it with another that simply has not been studied yet. The cycle continues, and consumers bear the risk. You are the test subject in an experiment you never signed up for. Most people never learn how to break this cycle. But you will if you stay until the end. Number 3 on our avoid list is Systema. Systema is a New Zealand-based brand that has gained popularity in the United States through discount retailers and online marketplaces. The colorful clips and modular designs appeal to organization enthusiasts. The price point appeals to budget-conscious shoppers. Systema presents itself as a cheerful, practical solution for busy kitchens. The bright colors and clever stacking systems look great in marketing photos. But cheerful branding does not equal chemical safety. Systema containers are manufactured using polypropylene, but like other budget brands, the quality grade is inconsistent. Independent testing has revealed that some Systema products release detectable levels of antimony, a metalloid element used in plastic manufacturing. Antimony exposure has been linked to gastrointestinal distress, heart irregularities, and lung irritation. It is classified as a possible carcinogen by the International Agency for Research on Cancer. For seniors with existing cardiac conditions, antimony is not a negligible concern. Even low-level exposure can exacerbate arrhythmias and interact with heart medications like beta blockers and calcium channel blockers. Your food storage container should not be interfering with your medication efficacy. The container in your refrigerator should not be working against the pills in your medicine cabinet. The locking clips that Systema promotes as a key feature also present durability issues. Customers report that clips snap off after repeated use, rendering lids useless. A container without a functional lid is not storage. It is exposure. Exposed food absorbs odors, bacteria, and airborne contaminants. Exposed containers become waste that costs you money and compromises your health. What looked like a smart purchase becomes trash within months. Systema's quality control has also been questioned in online reviews. Containers arriving with visible scratches, lids that never quite fit correctly, plastic that develops a sticky residue after washing. These are not isolated incidents. They are patterns that suggest systemic manufacturing shortcuts. When hundreds of customers report the same problems, the issue is not user error. The journey from New Zealand to American shelves involves multiple touchpoints: factories, warehouses, shipping containers, distribution centers. At every step, there is potential for contamination, temperature excursions, and quality degradation. By the time a Systema container reaches your kitchen, it has traveled thousands of miles and passed through countless hands. Quality control becomes harder with every mile traveled. Why is it always the cheapest products that seem to cause the most problems? Coincidence? Or calculated trade-offs by companies betting you will never connect your health issues to a $2 container? We will reveal the containers that actually protect you, but that information comes at the very end. At number 2, we have Fit and Fresh. Fit and Fresh positions itself as a health-conscious brand. The name itself suggests wellness and vitality. Their containers often feature portion control markings and are marketed toward dieters, meal preppers, and fitness enthusiasts. For seniors trying to manage weight or control diabetes through careful portioning, Fit and Fresh seems like a trusted ally in their health journey. But the ally may be a wolf in sheep's clothing. Despite the health-forward branding, Fit and Fresh containers are made from standard plastics with no special safety certifications. The portion control markings are printed on the exterior using inks that, in some cases, contain heavy metals like lead and cadmium. While these inks should not contact food directly, containers are handled, stacked, and stored in ways that create indirect exposure pathways. Ink wears, ink flakes, ink transfers. Lead exposure is particularly dangerous for seniors. Even low levels of lead accumulation can contribute to cognitive decline, kidney damage, and bone weakening. The body stores lead for decades, meaning today's exposure becomes tomorrow's health crisis. Lead does not flush out of your system. It accumulates in your bones and brain, building up over time. A container marketed as helping you eat better could actually be making you sicker with every use. Fit and Fresh containers also demonstrate poor thermal stability. Customers report that containers left in hot cars or placed in dishwasher top racks warp significantly. Warped containers develop uneven surfaces where food pools and bacteria thrive. The convenience of grab-and-go meal prep becomes a liability when containers cannot withstand real-world conditions. Your healthy lunch becomes a bacterial breeding ground before you even eat it. The irony is painful. Seniors choosing Fit and Fresh are actively trying to improve their health. They are making conscious decisions about portion control and meal planning. They deserve products that support those goals, not undermine them with hidden chemical risks. Good intentions deserve good products, not marketing disguises. A 2020 survey found that nearly 70% of American seniors are actively trying to eat healthier to manage chronic conditions. These seniors are doing everything right. They are reading labels, they are controlling portions, they are planning meals, but no one told them to check their containers. No one mentioned that the vessel might be as important as the contents. What is the worst container disaster you have experienced? Drop it in the comments below. Do not miss the part that actually protects you. It is coming at the end of this video. And coming in at number 1 on our avoid list is Gladwear. Gladwear holds the top spot on our avoid list, and for good reason. This is not the same as Glad containers, which we covered earlier. Gladwear is Glad's disposable container line, designed for single-use convenience but often reused by cost-conscious consumers, especially seniors trying to stretch their grocery budgets. The containers look sturdy enough to use again and again. The problem is that Gladwear was never designed for repeated use. These containers are manufactured with thinner plastic and fewer stabilizers than their reusable counterparts. The first use is reasonably safe. The second use introduces risk. By the third or fourth use, the plastic has been through heating cycles, washing cycles, and physical stress that compromises its integrity. Each reuse accelerates the breakdown that releases harmful substances. Microplastic shedding from Gladwear increases exponentially with reuse. A 2024 study from Duke University found that repeatedly microwaved disposable containers released up to 12 million microplastic particles per serving. 12 million in a single meal. Accumulated over weeks and months, that exposure becomes staggering. Imagine swallowing 12 million tiny plastic particles with every reheated dinner. Gladwear also fails basic seal integrity after initial use. Lids that snap securely the first time become loose and unreliable. Food stored in compromised containers is exposed to refrigerator bacteria, cross-contamination from raw meats, and flavor absorption from nearby items. Your leftover roast beef ends up tasting like the onions stored 3 shelves away. The seal that worked on day 1 fails by day 5. For seniors on blood thinners like warfarin, microplastic exposure adds another variable to an already delicate medication balance. Microplastics trigger inflammatory responses that can affect drug metabolism and effectiveness. Your doctor calibrates your dosage based on expected variables. Plastic contamination is not part of that calculation. Your INR levels could fluctuate because of a container you thought was safe to reuse. The marketing of Gladwear encourages disposal, but the economics encourage reuse. Seniors see sturdy-looking containers and think, why throw this away? The answer is because keeping it may cost you more in health consequences than the few cents saved by reusing. The savings are an illusion. The health costs are real. Why do you think companies design containers that look durable but are meant to be thrown away? Because they want you to buy more. And if reusing them makes you sick, that is not their problem. It is yours. The profit motive explains everything you need to know about this product category. Most people never learn which containers actually protect them, but you will, because the solution comes right now. Safe pick number 1. Pyrex glass containers. Pyrex has been manufacturing glass food storage for over a century. Unlike plastic, glass does not leach chemicals. It does not absorb odors. It does not degrade with repeated use. What you store in Pyrex stays exactly as you intended, uncontaminated and uncompromised. The material is inert, meaning it does not react with your food no matter what you store or how long you store it. Pyrex glass is made from borosilicate or tempered soda-lime glass, both of which are designed to withstand temperature extremes. You can take a Pyrex container from the freezer, place it in the microwave, and serve directly at the table. No chemical migration, no microplastic shedding, no hidden risks. The same container works for freezing, reheating, and serving. For seniors managing chronic conditions, Pyrex offers genuine peace of mind. The food you store is the food you eat. Nothing more, nothing less. Your blood pressure medication works as prescribed because your container is not introducing variables your doctor did not anticipate. Your diabetes management stays on track because no hidden chemicals are interfering with your insulin sensitivity. Pyrex lids are typically made from BPA-free plastic, so the glass-to-food contact remains pure. The lids themselves rarely contact food directly, minimizing any potential exposure from the plastic components. The food touches glass, the lid touches air. The separation protects you. The durability of Pyrex means these containers last for decades. Unlike plastic that degrades, clouds, and warps, glass maintains its integrity through hundreds of uses. A single set of Pyrex containers can outlast a dozen sets of plastic alternatives, making the higher upfront cost a long-term savings. Buy once, use forever. Cleaning is simpler too. Glass does not stain. Tomato sauce, curry, beet salad, nothing leaves a permanent mark. You can scrub with confidence, knowing the surface will emerge as clean as the day you bought it. No orange residue, no lingering smells, just clean, clear glass. For seniors with vision challenges, the clarity of glass makes it easier to identify contents at a glance. No squinting at clouded plastic trying to remember what you stored last Tuesday. Just clear, honest visibility that shows you exactly what is inside. Pyrex is the safe choice, the healthy choice, the choice that puts your well-being ahead of corporate convenience. Safe pick number 2, OXO, Good Grips Glass Containers. OXO has built its reputation on thoughtful design that prioritizes user experience. Their Good Grips line of glass containers combines the chemical safety of glass with ergonomic features that make daily use easier, especially for seniors with arthritis or grip strength challenges. Every detail has been considered with aging hands in mind. The signature feature is the leak-proof, airtight silicone seal integrated into BPA-free plastic lids. Unlike snap-on lids that require significant force, OXO lids close with a smooth, low-effort motion. The silicone creates a secure seal without stressing arthritic hands or requiring fine motor precision. You can close the container with one hand if needed. OXO glass is thermal shock resistant, meaning you can transition from freezer to oven without risking cracks or breaks. This versatility simplifies meal prep for seniors who want to batch cook and reheat throughout the week. Prepare on Sunday. Eat safely all week. No container changes required. The containers are stackable and modular, with clear visibility that makes refrigerator organization intuitive. No more mystery containers hiding in the back. No more forgotten leftovers turning into science experiments. Everything is visible, accessible, and fresh. You can see what you have at a glance. OXO's commitment to quality is backed by extensive testing and customer service that actually responds to concerns. Unlike budget brands that disappear behind anonymous corporate structures, OXO stands behind their products with real warranties and real support. If something goes wrong, a real person will help you fix it. For seniors who value both safety and usability, OXO Good Grips represents the intersection of smart design and genuine health protection. Your food stays pure. Your hands stay comfortable. Your peace of mind stays intact. This is what thoughtful product design looks like. Not all containers are created equal. Some silently poison your food, while others protect it. Now you know the difference. The chemicals hiding in cheap plastic are not worth the savings. Your heart, your kidneys, your medications deserve better than hidden risks disguised as convenience. The container you choose matters as much as the food you put inside it. What is the worst container disaster you have experienced? Drop it in the comments below. I read every single one. Subscribe now, and if you are watching on TV, tap your remote so you never get blindsided again.